"It's so beautiful," Lottie whispered hoarsely. Right then she knew beautiful was totally inadequate. Magnificent would come closer, but still it didn't do what she was seeing justice. Lottie wished for better adjectives to get to the essence of this world she was witnessing. The turquoise forest looked like it would go on forever, underneath the sunset that was far more intense than she could have imagined. There was a simple path that led from the cavern, cutting right through the forest, that led all the way to a vast golden roof in the distance that Lottie couldn't quite make out. Looking at the view in front of her, Lottie bit her lip, but it wasn't out of anxiety. Rather, as she stared out into this new world, she felt all her usual worries melt away. Gyra had called this a different realm. Lottie had wanted to go on an adventure. This was it. Suddenly, none of the questions about how and why she came to be here mattered. Instead, she simply marvelled in gratitude at whatever magic had brought her here. "I'm glad you like it," Gyra smiled. "Come on, let's get back to town," she added, gesturing to the path in front of them that wound through the woods. "You must be tired after your adventure getting here. Besides, if those are your pyjamas, then it looks like you were ready for bed," she deduced, glancing to Lottie's attire. "Oh, Mum, you can't make her go to bed now. She's just arrived," Zara protested immediately. "Besides, she has to come to the ceremony and the feast. The king will probably have her as an honoured guest." "There's a king?" Lottie gasped as they walked, looking between them. "Is Oravand a magical kingdom?" She was filled with excitement and wonder in equal measure. "I suppose the Lockets are magical," Gyra agreed with a grin, "but the way of things here seems normal to us." "As to your question, yes. King Carolius rules over all Oravand. We are just outside the capital city, Oravesi. We'll be able to see it in a minute, when we've cleared the forest." "Mum works for the king," Zara supplied as they walked along. "As one of his court advisors, we live in some rooms at one end of the palace." "You live there?" Lottie echoed, then realised she was asking about pretty much everything they said. "That's cool," she simply said with a smile, not wanting to annoy them with too many questions, 5 minutes after she'd arrived here. "I think so," Zara grinned broadly, making her mother smile. "Here's the clearing," she added, pointing in front of them. "You can see almost the whole kingdom from here. Come on." With that, she broke into a run, racing off towards the vantage point. "Always full of energy," Gyra mused, shaking her head as Zara ran on a few feet before stopping. Lottie broke into a jog to catch up before coming to a complete halt herself, stilled by the awe and wonder washing over her like waves. Chapter 3. "Welcome to Oravand," Zara said, grinning as she stretched her arms out towards the sprawling turquoise fields below. Lottie gazed at the wondrous landscape before her, riveted by the raw beauty of this magical new world. At last, her mouth curved into a smile, her throat too tight for words. Lottie was having her new adventure after all. The new human girl to this realm took in all she could, keeping her eyes peeled open until they went watery. As soon as she had to blink, they were open wide once more, desperate not to miss this wonderful world a moment longer than she had to. Lottie could see now why they called Oravand the Gold Dimension. Every single building of the city was flecked with gold, as were the roads and pavements. The whole capital was sparkling, like the way the surface of the ocean glistens and dapples with burning orange at sunset. Higher than all the city's buildings was the towering palace that she'd only just been able to glimpse outside the cave. From this vantage point, Lottie could also see the boundary of one edge of the city. Beyond it were sloping hills, all with the same vivid turquoise as the grass outside the cavern. Further afield, she could just make out the glimmering of a body of water, shimmering in the distance. Lottie thought to comment, but instead she only swallowed. Suddenly, she realised she was close to tears at the sight of it all.